Welcome to another episode of the Cultivator Culture. Um, we are here on Monday Night Lights again. I think this is going to be our standard now, but we have the pleasure and the honor to have not only one guest, but we have two guests tonight. We have both Bryce and Brennan Lowe, um, who are one is a Steinbrenner alumni, one is a Steinbrenner going into senior. It is well past their bedtime. Boys, thank you for joining us tonight. How are you
We got
guys
two,
feeling?
two
Yes, of
seniors here.
course. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you going into your senior year too, Bryce?
Yeah. Got one more.
Okay. And what do you know what? I never did ask you, and I apologize. What is your major in college?
Business marketing.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what do you plan to do with that?
I've been taking these sales classes up at school, so I really like the sales part of business. So hopefully
Okay.
some sales. That's like what the plan is right now.
Now, for those who are new to the show or to some of the listeners that don't know the Lows, Bryce is currently playing college football Division III up at Carthage in Wisconsin. Um, Brennan is going into his senior year at Steinbrenner as the number two receiver behind Hawk Martin. So let's dive deeper though into Wisconsin and senior years first, shall we?
Give that man
Um,
his due. Brennan's coming off an incredible season where he was one of the top ranking receivers in the state of Florida, all classifications and receptions, and still number two behind Hawk.
all right, talk to us. Are you planning to stay up there, Bryce, in Wisconsin, or are you going to try to come back home here to Florida?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna come back home in Florida. Just the cold weather, man. I can't deal with it for any longer, I don't think.
No,
Your
I got you.
bones hurt.
Yeah. It's too
Well,
cold.
and you just had your last spring football season. How did
Yeah.
how did that go for you?
It was good. We have a new coaching staff, so it was just kind of like getting used to their culture and how they run things, how the offense is. So it was just kind of like getting used to that while also like kind of trying to enjoy like the last little bit of football I have left. So it was good. It was a lot of fun. I having fun playing football, which is always a good thing.
Yeah.
Correct me
You
if
know what
I'm
sucks
wrong.
is
Oh,
go
one
ahead, go
second,
ahead.
coach. Last year you were part of something pretty cool, unless I'm mistaken. You guys went to Dublin to play football against another country's
We
team. Is
went
that correct?
in 2022, we went to Spain. We went to
Bang.
Barcelona.
And
And
how
we
was that?
that was really cool. That was like a 9-day trip, maybe a little longer. We got like had a tour guide. We went to Barcelona, some cities a little north of Barcelona's. And so we just got to see all of Barcelona. We had one practice and we played the team called the Barcelona Dragons. And I mean it was really, really cool. And like after the game, like talking with all the guys, they basically like it wasn't like their true team because the league that they're in wouldn't allow us to play them, but like it was like they basically told us like their practice squad is what they like
Mhm.
compared it to.
Yeah.
But it was I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was really cool playing football like overseas and like they ran out with the American flag. So I mean, it's like cool
That's
like
dope.
representing. Yeah, so it was really, really cool. Like
You
playing
know,
a
I
national.
think the Barcelona Dragons, that's Barcelona Dragons like NFL Europe
Yeah,
Barcelona
they were.
Dragons. Yeah.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
was one their coach, well, like their head coach was a coach on the Bucks like the year prior, like an assistant coach, their head coach was. But yeah, it was really cool.
But it was against like full grown adults, guys who had already gone
Oh
through
yeah.
college and played. Yeah.
Yeah. It was all ages. I think like the youngest was 18, but then like you had dudes that were like in their 40s, 50s out there playing. So
Well,
that was,
Awesome.
it's starting to change. Like tackle football is starting to pick up a little bit of steam in Europe. I know the NFL's got a big push with flag, but they're starting to do a whole lot more with the international program. In fact, they got a guy who was a Welsh international who is now going through training camp with the Chiefs.
yeah, I
He
saw
was
that. Yeah.
absolute stud, but looks like an average NFL guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you
Yeah.
watch him on the rugby field, and there's comments I've seen because I'm following him too, just to make sure he's getting through. Because there's been a couple of rugby guys that have gone through that have tried but not made it. Like Jared Hayne a few years ago, he was an Australian league player. Gave it a shot, and he was with the Niners for a little bit, and then they let him go. I know now we've got one. There's a tackle for the Eagles that's been
Yeah.
around, uh,
Yeah.
Jordan
A lot of,
Matiliola, or
yeah.
yeah, Malata. But this kid now is he's trying to get a shot to make it as a receiver slash running back. And interestingly enough, um, when you watch him play international rugby, when he played the Six Nations, where it's England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales,
All the lands.
Italy, right? Um, Italy and France. He's an absolute giant. Like, but I've
Uh,
been watching some of the training camp film from the Chiefs, and he's very, very average size compared to American players now. So say with in saying all that, right? Um, it is getting bigger, and there is an international pathway and program. What did you think of those guys who played the guys you played over there in Spain?
I mean, I think that they were just like they have a different perspective on it than us. Like they was just like kind of I guess it's a hobby for all of us, but like for me, like I look at it as like a little more, but like I guess it would be like playing like a club sport to whereas like
Yeah,
it's not their main sport, but they play football because they like just love the game and they want to get into it. So I feel like there's like a different type of passion compared to like where like we come from and where they came from. But like talking with some like the actual like Barcelona Dragon players, like some of them were like Americans, so like they obviously like came like they can only have a certain amount of Americans, I think is like the
yeah,
rule.
Yep.
yep,
Um so like talking to them, I mean, it was just like that was normal. But talking to the other guys, it was like really cool, like hearing how they discovered football and like their favorite teams and like when they asked us questions and like some kids were there and like they thought it was the cool like they thought we were like the biggest like team ever. Like we were just like a D3 team in Wisconsin. Like so that was cool
yeah,
too. So I would say like
yeah,
I couldn't really like tell the pathway stuff, but like them pulling like NFL coaches, I think will help like that like
yeah,
connection.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and you also got NFL teams playing overseas every year now in multiple places. Germany had a game last year. London has a game every year. I think Mexico is adding a game this year. And it's actually crazy. The Mexico game is Green Bay and the Eagles, and like the players were told they're not allowed to wear green because of the gangs in the area. Like I guess green is their color, but that's the
Oh
primary color
wow,
for both teams. So how's that going to
yeah,
work?
They're both wearing white.
that is hilarious. So tell us, finishing your spring season, um,
Mhm.
new coaching staff. What are you looking forward to for your senior year? For one, did you have to start back at square one with them, or did they kind of leave everything as is? Because sometimes that happens when a new coaching staff comes in.
Yeah.
You got to start from scratch, and it's going into your senior year. You're like, okay, this is a bore, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's something that has to be done, that you have to like perpetually prove yourself.
Yeah.
Did you have to go through that process, and what are you expecting in your senior year?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did have to go through that process. I tried like to get involved, which I mean, I feel like have been like the last 4 years, definitely at college and at Steinbrenner too. So I mean that didn't really change for me, but like more so like getting to know the coach and then like kind of like building that trust off the field. So when we started spring ball on the field, it was like, okay, we know we can trust Bryce. But I feel like this might sound weird, but I've been fortunate enough to like play every like meaningful year of football I've played, I've always been in a competition. And I think like if it was any other way, then I would just be content where I was at. So now it's like always pushing. Like so I am in like a competition. Um Obviously like I want to start and that's like the goal and I feel like I'm heading in that direction. Um but yeah, it's still like an open competition. They're gonna go in the fall camp and see how that is. I had a really good spring though, picked up the offense fast and we like had a little spring game and like I was able to like execute well or like spring game because we can't have one. But I was executing like the plays well and had good feedback from the coaches, got some things to work on, and I feel like prepared and ready to go into the last few games I have.
Brandon,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from you on this. Just watching your brother grow up in his football journey a little bit. He comes in junior year, he's behind a Division I college football player, Hayden Carlson. We go on a deep run in the state playoffs. Um, and the whole time he's learning, he's doing everything the right way. Senior year comes, and once again he's in a battle. I believe Wiltsey that year, coming
Mhm.
off knee surgery, and a freaking specimen of a freshman, Ty Robinson, comes in, chiseled, huge Greek god looking kid who's 6'1" with size 5 shoes as a freshman. But again, you're in a battle, and you're a great leader that year. You take us back to the playoffs after we lost some major pieces. You get to college your first year, you set records in your conference as a freshman for your school, and then you're back in another battle. So you're battle tested from high school all the way through. So Brandon, what's it been like watching your older brother, and kind of like what have you learned from him through his journey?
I definitely learned to compete and that you're always competing. Just watching him, like you said, like always competing for a spot. There was never a time where he was complacent and like knew he had a starting job. So I guess going into high school, like just knowing that I was gonna have to compete, kind of like changed my mindset because I feel like I'm still competing for a spot now. So I feel like there are guys on our team that could easily take my spot. So I definitely feel like I am competing for my spot. And so probably just that just have that competing mindset and always being willing to compete, but also being a leader. And even though I am competing with some guys, hyping them up and being there for them.
Well, it's my favorite story about Bryce is in his was it your junior year?
Playing
Um,
for the Alonzo
the
game.
the plant game.
Yeah, it was
So
my senior year. It was
yeah, senior.
played Alonzo
Hit,
at Plant.
yeah. So his senior year, we're playing Alonzo at Plant, um, and I think it's the only game where I had ever seen Bryce switch off because I can certainly relate to a guy like you because you walk in the room and you don't pass the eye test. You walk in the room and everybody overlooks you. So you always have this sense of like, I'm trying to prove myself. I'm trying to prove myself. Well, that game, I think you felt complacent. Like it was the one time where I'm like, okay, this guy's like he's relaxing, and I didn't know if it was because you thought you had made it and you were comfortable in your spot. I don't know if it was because we were playing Alonzo, but long story short, you played terribly, and what happened was Coach Perez took you out for another quarterback, and then that guy just gunslinger, nothing to lose, actually played very very well. um, and I remember the bus ride home, and then I remember the conversation we had after we had gotten back to the high school, and really was one question, right? What are you going to do about it? And there was no like consolation. There was no like, oh, it's going to be okay. It was like nobody is here to save you. Mommy and daddy are not going to buy your position. What are you going to do? And I remember you hung your head, and I remember you were super upset, and I said, "You know what? You're allowed. You're allowed to be upset. You're allowed to be, pissed off, but what are you gonna do about it? Because everybody has bad moments, but I've never had a bad day, and the reason why I've never had a bad day, even if I've had multiple bad moments stacked on top of each other, I'm not allowing that to dictate what the rest of my day does. And I think you are certainly one of those types because I remember that Sunday you came back out and worked out on the turf with us, and it almost seemed as if that something rejuvenated you from that whole process. Where sometimes you gotta take a step backwards to take a step forwards. Um,
Mhm.
but that's I think what's one of your greatest characteristics is that you'll walk into things and you got a battle. You're walking into things and you got to fight. Now, if we can just install that into your brother a little bit, It'd be really good. Brendan, I heard you had a pretty good 7-on-7 this past weekend. Tell us a little bit about what went on this weekend, how you guys did, and where you guys played.
Uh, I was amazed, honestly. Like, because
Mm,
honestly, I mean, most of us can say that we did not go into that tournament thinking we were going to be playing for a championship.
yeah.
And I think it's crazy the amount of guys that stepped up, even the non-starters, and like even the kids that came in that we were. There was probably like 4 or 5 of us that was like cramping pretty bad. So even like the younger guys that came up and stepped up, even in the Armwood game or any other game we
Crazy.
played, it was crazy. And I feel like that just shows us what we can do. And I think it built us confidence. And I'm
Yeah.
excited.
It's something
Yeah.
we talk about every single year, Austin. In every meeting we have is if you during any Steinbrenner football game, if you look at the home sideline and the visiting sideline, you're going into the game, you're like, oh, okay. And every time Steinbrenner's bringing a dogfight because you got guys who play for each other, you got guys who play disciplined, and you got guys who play within their role. And it's a beautiful thing to see. This weekend, you guys came together. You did what you were supposed to do. You did your jobs. No one was trying to do someone else's job, and you played for each other. And that's what happens. I mean, you saw the Armwood game. It was, I mean, they had dudes everywhere. They had dudes everywhere, and we kept him out of the end zone the entire 7-on-7 game.
Mhm.
It's insane.
Yes.
So it's
Bryce,
just it's
did you?
awesome, and we all know 7-on-7. It is what it is. It's not football,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But it's competition, and when guys go to compete, they're going to do everything they can to win that competition. Our guys did everything in their power to win for the school this week and for each other.
Nice. Bryce, were you out there watching your brother?
Yeah, I was out there.
Give me give me what your impression is on your little brother now walking into his senior year.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I was like surprised by like his performance because I mean he didn't say when he was just talking, but he played really, really well.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily surprised because I mean I do throw with him and I work out with him, so like I know what he can do and I see what he can do. So I wasn't necessarily surprising, but I mean it's good to see like him have success. But he's probably the biggest shit talker on the Steinbrenner football team.
Dude, I was going to say it. Like, we can't
It's
shut him up.
Really?
It's amazing.
it is in
Shut
San
up.
Luis just because he was like the little brother.
Wow.
So like I was always picking on him and like he's just kind of like learned to like chirp back. But I mean, it was insane. I was like I got to see it up close and personal. Like he like finally like got some confidence and it's just always good. He played more confidently and he was I mean, and to be fair, there were some instances where the other guys instigated it, but I mean, he just like took it to a whole new level, and
He ended it, though.
he backed it up every time, and it
Yeah.
was
That's
I
what's
mean,
crazy. If you
yeah,
watch it, he's always getting in the face of some dude that's twice his size, and
yeah.
the dude just walks away and backs down. I'm like, what is going on here?
Listen,
Yeah, but
one of my least favorite memories of Brennan is when we're
Oh,
doing the one-on-one drills around the corner, 2-on-2 drills. And I certainly can appreciate a guy that talks smack. I can certainly appreciate a guy who can back it up. But I'm never a guy that will take a shot at another dude when he's got his back turned.
I
And Brennan took a shot at Coop after the play was over, after with Coop's back turned to him. I thought it was pretty soft. Now, did he get that from you, Bryce, or does he do that to you growing up?
oh no, no, he definitely doesn't get that from me. Don't we can't put that too. If he does anything good, he gets it from me. Anything bad, it's not. Someone
So
else.
that's him. Oh,
He
like
probably learned it
straight,
from you,
straight.
honestly. He probably
No,
learned
I'm
it
not a cheap shot guy.
from
I'm
you.
not. I'll get right in your face, brother. You know me well enough.
Yeah.
You guys,
Mhm.
neither of you guys showed up on Sunday. I called you out. You guys backed off, didn't do anything. Oh, okay, that's right. Hey, by the way, 5 a.m. It's 11. Oh, it'll be 11 o'clock when we're at 11 o'clock now. I'll
No,
meet you
ain't
guys at
nobody going to
5
that.
a.m. None of y'all going to it.
I got work at
So
6. I can't make
Yeah.
it. Sorry, man.
yeah, me too. I got work. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is when you guys compete, and you probably have throughout life, because I got an older brother too. But even though my brother was a phenomenal athlete and he's probably 4 inches, 5 inches taller than me, I still beat the brakes off the guy. And I can say it now. Come on, break. You don't want this smoke. Trust me. Who in a wrestling match right now? Who is winning?
Out of us two,
He doesn't have a PCL.
So yeah, what kind of excuses? I got work at 6 a.m.
So
Yeah,
I'm
I got no
winning.
PCL.
I'm
What kind of
winning. I'm
you guys are
winning.
full
I'm
of
winning.
excuses. Full of
I'm
excuses.
winning.
it's not an excuse. It's what he
I'm
said. I
winning.
didn't say that. He said that.
I'm winning.
Well, yeah, but look, hear what he's saying
I'm
currently.
winning.
Yeah.
See?
Okay. It's delusional.
I'm
Your
winning.
mom would beat both of you. That's all I'm gonna say right
Oh
now.
yeah. Oh yeah.
No, she would break them up both. No, guys, don't. Can we all just get along, please? You're gonna break the fine china, guys. Don't. The IKEA coffee table, don't break it. That's from Ethan Allen.
This is not me.
No.
This is him.
Yeah, no, and listen, let's speak a little bit. Now that we're on Christy, let's speak about mom for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you guys have one of the few families. Well, there's a lot of families, but there are a few that are dug very deeply into the Steinbrenner football community. And your parents are definitely in that group where they spend a lot of time, as much time as probably as we do as coaches, at Steinbrenner, making sure stuff is set up, making sure kids are fed, making sure people are taken care of.
Help him with
Um,
anything.
yeah, helping with anything. Has your mom always been that way, w- involved with you guys in youth sports even when you started playing?
Yeah, I mean, my dad coached both of us like in youth football up until like my seventh grade year, and he coached Brennan, or my grandpa, Coach Roger, coached them, coached us. I mean, when we were younger, so we've always had family around. So then like it was always like my dad was the coach, my mom was the team mom. Like it was always like surrounded. Like it's just always in any sport we did, it was like always like that. So it's like we're just always been like a sports family, and they've always been like super involved in anything that we've done.
So
True example
do
of
you
football is family.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but do you enjoy that, or do you not enjoy that part? I know some of our kids who parents get involved, there's there's a level of involvement that's like, okay, enjoyable, and then there's a level of involvement where it's like intrusive. Um,
Yeah.
has your relationship with mom and dad being a part of your both of your athletic careers, has it been the helicopter type, or has it been the helping type?
Oh, helping 1000%. I don't think it's a helicopter because they always like say like,
Oh, and they're off. What happened?
Where'd they go? You asked the helicopter type. Come on.
That
Miss Lowe
that
just
was a
turned that up. Miss Lowe
that was
turned
a
you off.
great
She turned
question,
you off.
because on
Shut
first
you down.
on first conversation, listen, you can't tell me that when you first meet Christy Lowe, love her to death, love you to death, Christy Lowe. Oh, and they're back.
She's the
Yo,
best.
what the heck happened? The
I
hell are
don't
you
know.
guys doing?
Just disappeared.
Austin's like, oh, your mom disconnected you.
Yeah. But yeah, she got mad about the question. See,
Yeah.
Christy Lowe has the bleep button. She just,
Yeah.
boop, you're off, because we don't like helicopter mom this, boop. So cute.
No,
Go ahead.
I don't think that like either of them are like that helicopter parent. Because I mean, you see, like we've all know like, there's helicopter parents part of every team. I think that they've always been there, like when we needed help, like you said, like in any instance, like they're there to help. So I don't necessarily think that's like a helicopter parent, but like they also support any like decision we make. So it's like if Brent tomorrow said he was done playing football, they would be like they would talk to him about it, but it would be like, okay, we support you, and like whatever that decision is. So that they're not forcing us like anything like that, or telling us we have to go to training. Like they'll give us crap for not going to training, and be like, okay, well, if you
But
don't
you
go to
make your
training.
bed.
Mhm.
You make your own bed. Like you choose to go or not. That's on
Oh,
you.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I was
yeah.
like, what?
So the question, a better question, Austin, is coming from the close family you come from, where they've been involved with everything you guys do, was it hard to make that transition to college, a couple thousand miles away, where you're now in a program where you don't have family around you? You have to kind of find a new family.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely like that first like fall camp, like that was super, super hard. Like being like super far away from home, like the dorm I lived in didn't have AC, so going through like 2 days basically with no AC is not fun. So I mean, it was just like miserable basically. But like just calling them, like thank God for FaceTime, like that. I mean, it's not the same, but like it's still like gives you something. And I still talk to my parents, talk to my mom almost every day, talk to my dad almost every other day. Like it's just um, it's just I tried to make it like so it was there as much as so they were there as much as possible. And like I'm super close, like we're a super close family. Like we always do everything together. So moving to college was definitely tough, but like it was always nice like having the
Yeah.
being able to be at the games and stuff like that. So like they're still able to like support me. So.
Austin, do you remember when we were in college? I went away to college. I went to New York and from Florida, had a girlfriend back home, had my family back home, didn't see them at all until like halfway through the season. And when we were in school, no FaceTime. We had Nokia cell phones and it was 10 cents a minute. And my first phone bill was like $600, and my
Yeah.
mom flew up to beat my ass on site. She
I remember
flew up to New York to take my phone back with her.
I remember when cell phones first came out, I had a Nokia cell phone that had 100 minutes of calling. There was no texting at the time, but then T9 texting came out and it completely my brain doesn't work like that. So I'm like, what the heck? But I remember it was 100 minutes for $50.
Crazy.
And my parents are like, make sure you use these minutes wisely because it's only 100 for $50. And then I got friends and in Gainesville, and one just dialing it up hot. Blah, 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 blah. And
Yo,
then
what up,
the
boy?
yeah, then that first bill, you're right, that came out. Oh man, and remember before also
And after
texting, texting will cost you X amount per
9
text.
p.m., it was free nights a week. Yeah, it's 10 cents
Yeah.
incoming and 10 cents outgoing. And my
Yes. And
girlfriend at
then
the time would text me like 800 times a minute. Like I'm in practice, I have like 40 texts. Like, where are you? Why aren't you calling me? Where are you? I'm like, bro, you just cost me $25.
yeah.
So you knew I was in practice.
Well, and the craziest part about it, remember how fast some people could text? And the way that T9 texting guys works is look at your keypad and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then zero. Each one of them is corresponding to a series of letters. So
Mhm.
if you wanted to press, like if you press 2 and it's ABC, to get to C, you had to push it 3 times, and then you had to push it like so, and then it would move one character over. Some people could text like people text now on that T9, and I could not figure it out. But them bitches cost like 10 cents, 25 cents per text message. And people would text the letter K. Like, listen, if you're gonna text me, text a paragraph of
Yeah.
everything you need, the shopping list, what our homework was, bro. Don't just text K.
Guess
That's
what I'm
not
going to
gonna
ask
work.
you and answer that next.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I think technology in that sense has improved because even when I was playing overseas, I remember, and Coach Greg, you might remember this too, is we are currently on Zoom, and Zoom is working. It's like since COVID, it has become one of the greatest things aside from like, you know,
Should
what
win
is
a
it?
Nobel Peace Prize.
Teams,
Should.
like Microsoft's got Teams, and now there's all these other different apps that have got it going. But I remember when had to Skype each other. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
You had to prepay to Skype.
Yep.
Um, and that was the only way I could contact my wife and my kids when I was overseas. And it was old school. It was like dial up. It was this choppy, it was terrible service. And now um I can feel for you that now you go to Wisconsin, but you're still as close to your parents because
Yeah.
technology actually gets you there. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's that it's tough because we both remember what first fall camp felt like.
Worst thing in
And
the world
it's worse than
ever.
ever. Yeah. But you know what? It makes you better because when you see the guy in your sophomore year, when you see a guy in your senior year, those guys that were in there for the first time this year, you take two different roles. One, you go, yep, that guy's going home. or you
Yeah.
go, or you go, hey man, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna make
Yeah.
it, right? You're no one's here to help you. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
And remember, we've shared in other episodes, 40% of athletes that go off to college end up coming home. And it really has nothing to do with your skill level. It really has everything to do with what you got up top and how hard you've trained inside. Because no matter what sport it
Mentality, man.
is, yeah, no matter what sport it is, it will try you. It'll test you. And if you're willing to just shut your mind off and let your body do the job, you'll get to the end of it. I mean, well, I'm currently doing that now with we've got a couple of soccer girls out on Sunday mornings. I mean, Brendan doesn't ever come out there anymore. It's fine. We've replaced him with better athletes anyways, some D1 athletes. And that it's tough for them. And one his name's Pitts, Aaliyah Pitts, and the other one is
Matty Green.
Maddie Green.
I was about to say that's a
And
bad look.
listen, both D1 soccer players, both absolutely getting mashed out there because they're not they don't know what to expect. But what I've seen, especially because Pitts she came out on Sunday,
Yes,
she is so mentally tough that no matter what happens at the next level, just like you did when you first walked up there, the weather is a variable. The school is a new variable. Your dorm is a variable. Like all these things were excuses for you to go home, but because you had built yourself up mentally enough, because you have built yourself up inside enough, you're like, yo, I'm here. What's next? Right? What am I going to do about it? And that that will carry as a lesson for you through all of the hardships that are on the way. Because the answer is it's not if the storm is coming, it's when. And this is just the beginning. Listen, we were going to talk about girlfriends and broken relationships, but we'll spare that for you because your mom actually asked me when you came home that time, she goes, do not. That was like when it first happened. That was a year ago, right? Remember, she
Yeah.
came up to us at practice, Greg, and she goes, do not talk to
don't
Bryce
recall.
about that, his broken relationship. I said, what? And I said, oh yeah, heck yeah, we're going after this one. But we didn't. I hugged you a couple
Oh, you
times
did.
and I was like,
You hugged me.
remember, I was
You
like,
hugged me. You hugged me
yeah,
and you kissed my head and you're like, it's okay. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
it's gonna
I
be
thought you
okay,
said it and he
Bryce.
walked away.
It's gonna be okay. I love you. And I walked away. But that your mom was like, do not bother him about that. I'm like, all right, no problem.
I don't
But
recall.
you're
I do
such a
want to say,
liar.
like,
Why are you playing good cop, bad cop right now? This is
How am I lying?
ridiculous.
they're
Well,
always
You
what's
bad
because
cop all
you
the
what's
time.
you were
ridiculous
standing
is you
right
were the
there.
number 38. That's what's ridiculous.
You were there with me. Don't even be like that.
You know how many times I've been hit in the head? Less than you, but I don't remember that stuff. But
Yeah,
I
you
do
do.
remember.
You were saying, Coach Austin, like about like the mentally building up all those things. I remember like coming out like the first like Sunday, and it's like, oh, I'm going to work out with Coach Austin. Like you get out there and it's like it's all the guys from my year. So you got Jet, Thompson, Durant, and you got Dean, Aiden,
Yeah,
Dion, like all those
yeah.
guys are out there, and obviously they're all like successful. And it was like just going like the flip. You're like, all right, all we're doing is flipping the tire, and it's like, okay, like, oh, it's not bad. Like, go to flip the tire, you can't flip the tire, and instead of it being like, no, you can do it, or here, like, let me help you slide your hands under. It's you're getting called every name in the book, and it's that it started like with like a player. It was started like with like you first, and then it was just like it was like you said, like piss me off. Like it would just piss me off. So then like finally it's like, okay, I could carry the tire. And then I was like when you like carry in it, like make sure you go all the way. And if you don't carry all the way, it's the next thing, next thing, next thing. So it's like going up to school or like anything that has to deal with like anything mentally tough. I feel like I've already dealt with that just because of the Sundays. And then you do good on Sundays and it's like, hey, come Tuesdays, Thursdays, right here in the dungeon, like such and such day. And it's like, then it's like, it's just a cycle. It's like, okay, then you're just gonna get bullied for Tuesday, Thursday. Then Sunday comes around and it's like you're good again. And it's like, oh shit, it's Tuesday, Thursday. Like, so it's just like cycle, cycle, cycle. And now it's like, it's
You're
just like,
immune.
Yeah,
what?
but
You're
honestly,
just
right?
immune to it.
No
Yeah.
matter no matter what anybody says to you on your team, no matter what anyone says to you on another team, no matter what your coaching staff says to you, you're battle tested. You're like,
Yeah, I've been
"Oh,
through
you
it.
know what I mean? And the best part about it is when life happens, you're gonna be the same. You're gonna be like, yo, that actually sucked, but I know how to deal with adversity. I know how to deal with, negative energy. I know how to deal with bullying. I know how to deal with like it's so crazy because nobody in today's day and age wants or likes confrontation. When if you understood confrontation is a normal part of all relationships. Like
Yeah,
the most successful relationships are not the ones that have zero confrontation. Those are actually fake relationships. The best relationships are those that have confrontation, but then have resolution because those two people can come to a compromise. They can come to a version of understanding and say, okay, like I hear you and you hear me. Now let's move together in the same path. That is what we're literally missing in the world right now because one, people are scared to have confrontation because confrontation doesn't have to come to blows. Confrontation is I don't agree with you and you don't agree with me. But like I said, the successful part of that relationship is can we find a resolution to that? Now, oh, here's politics. Here's what you think. Here's what you think. Here's economy. Here's what you think. Here's what you think. And then you go, oh, screw you. And you turn around and walk away. Like
Idiots.
yeah. And so now we've got to a point in society where people are telling you how they feel about things unsolicited. And at the same time, they give you nothing to as a solution. They give you nothing as a compromise. Like, for instance, we're at Village Inn and it's just my boys and I, because my wife goes down, she was down with her sister in Sarasota hanging out. I open a door for this lady that's behind us, and I go, "Hey," to my son, "Open the other door," because there's 2 doors. This lady looks right at me, and she goes, "I can open my own doors." And I was like, okay, you're welcome." And she walks through, and my oldest son is looking at me like completely bewildered. And I said to him, "Look, because he wasn't sure why we did it or what was going on because it was just an act of kindness." And I go, "W- don't worry about it, my guy. Like we do things the way we do things because that's how we do them." And he's like, Why? Like that was weird. Why would you open it for her?" And she does that or she says that. And I'm like, because there's only one way that we do things, and that's the right way. And regardless of what the climate is, the economic or political climate or whatever, however many genders are out there anymore, like you are still trying to do the right thing because that's the right thing to do, right? And so
yeah.
he kind of went, okay, and he kind of just let it go. And then my younger son goes, "Screw that lady." So I'm like, bro, it's perfect because
Yeah.
again, it's that's the world you're living in now. And if you can't raise above that, you stay in the clouds with everybody else. It's all
Mhm.
confusion. Everyone can't see everyone else. You got to be able to elevate another way. And the first way is going to be is are you tough enough up here? Are you tough enough here to hear? And this is coming from a guy that is the minority of the minorities forever and a day. I have heard every racial joke, every stereotype. I still hear them now from guys I've been with and coached with for 15, 16 years. One guy is sitting right there
Oh,
on the
that's
call with
messed
us.
up. I would never, never.
But
Hey, honey.
Yeah, my wife's like, "You're talking too loud, and why are you talking about racial things?" I'm like, but I think that is why I am who I am is because I just learned that the basic tenet that sticks and stones will break your bones, but names will never hurt you, right?
Mm.
People's skin are so thin now. See how I just did that? He got all offended. His passive
Who
aggressive
got offended? You've
skin
never
so
offended
thin.
me.
Oh yeah. But I think that's what we're trying to instill in Brennan, but he just doesn't show up anymore. So now he's like, "Oh, I'm hurt. It's my ankles. Oh, my mom said I can't
Do you
go
know
today."
Brennan had hurt his ankle again 7-on-7 this weekend after
I heard.
making a ridiculous like topped him catch 60 yards downfield or whatever it was to win the game. And today he got his ankle checked out after workouts. And I was like, hey, what's going on? You need to sit? He's like, I'm not sitting. Went right back out and started working. Man's tough. Man is tough.
This is debatable. It's debatable, but I think he's tough. He's tough with his mouth. He
Yeah.
he he definitely I he has grown when it comes to his confidence. I think his body has a little catching up to do, but I think he's on the right track. If he stops playing lacrosse, I think lacrosse is kind of good. But
You see,
you know
but
what
you
I
say I
mean?
have a mouth, but like I feel like I learned that from you because you've always told me
Oh
how
my
you've always
gosh.
been like the smaller
I
guy,
learned
like
it from you, Dad.
when you go
That's
somewhere.
terrible. What kind of coach am
Well,
I?
well, you always tell me that like you gotta earn respect somehow, and like people never respected you because of how small you were, like when you walked in the
Yeah,
room. So
yeah.
you basically put on your hat, like your helmet and pads, and you punched him in the mouth. And that's what I kind of do. And I kind of just
Ooh.
like to set the tone,
Ed
like
Lasso.
I I love it. Brennan, you know what? I'll give that to you. You that is one thing that has changed about you that I'll give to you is that you are tough as nails when it comes to that. Like mentally, I don't think anybody could walk you down like, 7-on-7, which absolutely despise. There's so much trash talking. I'm certain that you are not one person that will back down to anybody trash talk wise. But I
yeah.
think that you're probably right. It's the environment that you were in that has fostered that. And I got no problems with that because there's a right time and a right place for everything. And that's certainly on the field as a leader. There are some days where you have to say the Ted Lasso type of things. You have to say the inspirational, motivational things.
Ed
Sometimes you
Lasso.
just gotta sometimes you just gotta buckle up your chin strap and smack somebody. So I'm with you. I'll give it to you. Now, what is mom going back to supportive parents? What does mom and dad think about the two sport thing? Like, do they prefer one or the other? Do they say, no, honey, just do whatever you feel best at? Or are they finally saying like, okay, pick one or
It's kind of like what Bryce said earlier. It's whatever decision I make and they support it. And
yeah,
it's a decision like I talk like when I did decide not to play lacrosse at the start of the year. And I mean you talked about it, but I talked to my parents. They supported me on it, but it was definitely not like a day decision. We talked like over a week times. And
yeah.
then when I told them I wanted to play again, they were like, "All right, let's do it." And then I played again. So it's always been like my decision, and they just back me up in any way they can. And they will always just talk me through it and make sure I have a plan and make sure it's the right decision for me. So
They're good. They're good people. I'll give that to them.
Mhm.
They're good people. But let's ask you personally then. What's the next step? Like, what direction do you see yourself going? I mean, you got 1 year left. Where do you see your academic path, but where do you see your athletic path taking you?
um athletic path, I don't know yet with lacrosse. I'm kind of leaning not playing, but then there's a part of me that's like it's always a plan B. And I feel like I always need a plan B because plan A is football. I love football. Um, and plan B is definitely lacrosse. I think I could go to a decent school for lacrosse. So it's kind of just like, yeah, I don't really know how to explain it, but it's just kind of like where life takes me, I guess. Like just play it by ear.
Yeah.
and try to
What are
finish
your
it.
goals this year for the football team, for yourself? What are your hopes for the season?
I want to win a district championship. I've only won them in lacrosse. Haven't won them in football yet. Um, want to beat Eastlake. I have not been Eastlake, and
That was
in
stuck it to them
football.
Wait
on
a minute.
Saturday.
I haven't
Wait a
beat
minute.
in my
Wait a
Steinbrenner.
minute. So you have only played in the Eastlake games that we have lost with a missed kick on our side, and then
Mm-hmm.
that that overtime
Overtime.
loss.
Mm-hmm.
Holy smokes. I thought you were
So
part
yeah.
of one of the teams that had won a district championship. You're one of the few that hasn't gotten one yet.
Yep. And then I've never
Oh
been
man.
Gaither at Steinbrenner. Never been him.
Okay.
Lost to him
Okay.
JV season freshman year. So that's another huge goal of mine. Or just as a
Okay.
team. And really, also want to see like, I know like this might sound weird, but see like guys like grow, like see guys like
Sound weird? That's amazing.
Yeah.
underclassmen who where I have been in their shoes, sitting behind people and just learning off of them and just following their path, and trusting the process. Because that's definitely helped me just trusting the process, trusting you guys, and it's definitely helped me succeed in a lot of things. So I want to see
Nice.
guys. I want to see underclassmen do that.
Nice. Let's start there then. How because that's a great segue to it is let's start with Bryce. If we look at your high school football career and now
Yeah.
college football career coming towards an end because this is your final season, what if you had the group of Steinbrenner football kids sitting in front of you right now? What is something that you would say to them that you've taken away from not only Steinbrenner football but now college football that you could give to them as a nugget of knowledge?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, I would say just like the complacency. I think I like talked about that earlier, but I mean at Steinbrenner, the only games I started were my senior year. So even on JV, then it never started the game. Jet played quarterback my freshman year, and then when Jet got pulled up to varsity, there was no one left, and I was like, oh, I'm the starting quarterback. And I thought like that was that. I mean, still was going to quarterback training, lifting a little bit on my own. Wasn't really doing like that extra stuff though. And then when we started like in the fall, that's when Griff came up and immediately took my spot. So it was like that. I think that was like the best thing that could have happened to me because I was just so sure that I was the starter. And
Yeah.
then that happened, and then going into the spring, it was like I'm not going to beat out Hayden, and at the time Chase Jackson was hurt, so it was like
Mhm.
going for that number 2 spot, and just like trying like that was like my goal, and it was like always like a healthy competition between me and Griff, like we would help each other out and be like, okay, this is the read here, like this is what we do here, because I mean that's the other thing, like at the end of the day, like you're one team, like you got to trust the coaches. Like as much as I might disagree with it, if I get benched in a game, you got to trust the coaches that the guy they're replacing me with is gonna help the team win. Because I mean, it doesn't say like, oh, you went 10-0, and you started like Bryce went 10-0. It says no, Carthage went 10-0, like or whatever a record is. Like it doesn't matter the games I played or didn't play in. It just matters like the record that the team had. Like it's all like about the team, like the Michigan saying like the team. Like that's all it's about.
Nice. How about what would you say um to your brother sitting beside you going into his senior year? What piece of advice do you have for him?
Yeah, I would say for him just to trust the process. I mean, we know he's doing the work and he can always do more, but I think like you got a little glimpse of it this past weekend at Sling Shoe where he like can show where he's done or like what he can do. So I would say just like trust the process, and everyone wants the offers. Obviously, we want him to have offers too, but everyone's path is different, and like you could be leading up to like your day before graduation, and then it's like, oh, I'm going here. Like this school just came out of the woodworks and offered me, and I'm going there.
Yeah.
Or it could be tomorrow a school calls him and we go to visit and then he goes there. Like it just doesn't like I would say just trust the process and everything's like gonna work out for his situation. Like may not be where like he initially thought. Like I never thought I'd be playing football in Wisconsin, but like that's what happened and I love that it happened. I enjoy it every second of it. So just like trust the process and like let him pave like his own path.
Nice. All right, Brandon, now your turn. We do it on the show for every guest that we have. Now you're one of only a couple that are still current students at Steinbrenner, but you are going into your senior year. You are one of our leaders. What do you have to say to your teammates? What piece of advice do you have to give them going into your senior year?
Keep working. Again, trust the process. It is a long process, especially for us. I feel like we have a lot of people doubting us this season. But just keep working. Let's just put our head down and go to work. And we showed what we can do in the sling shoot. And there's no reason why we can't play Steinbrenner football in the fall and go win a district championship.
There you go.
And I want to add a fun one here because their parents are such a big part of our program. I'd love for them to give little nuggets of mom and dad on
Yeah.
what it's meant to have them as part of this journey.
I mean, like I said, like growing up, like just always having like I've been playing tackle football since I was 5. So like my dad and my grandpa are my first coaches, and that was like I think my grandpa stopped coaching me when I turned 7 or 8, and it was just my dad. So I think like learning football, like the basics from them, but then like them always going out of the way to like try to find like a new like different resources, whether it was like a net that I could throw to in the backyard or joining what was then the Kaleo QB Academy, now the stable, and just like finding like going out of their way to find like these extra things to make us better and just like doing whatever they can to help us, whether I mean at the end of the day it was their first time going through the process too, so they didn't know what was right or wrong, but like they kind of just threw everything at us, see what we liked, what worked for us, what didn't work for us. Like if that was going to like a speed coach and it was like, okay, well that didn't really make much sense, let's try this or let's not do this. So like anything like that. I mean, I would just say like just going out of their way to like do anything they can to help us, and it's just been like a huge part of any success that like we both have had.
Well, listen, we definitely appreciate your parents, and your parents have obviously, just like my sons and I at Village Inn have obviously instilled in you guys um, the way to do things being the right way. But the right way isn't the easy way, right? The right way isn't the most convenient way, right? The right way is most definitely not the way that everybody can go, because not everybody wants to do that to be successful. So, we are very, very proud of both you guys. We're very, very happy that you were able to join us too.
Yeah,
We know it's your bedtime.
yeah, we gotta get to
So
bed, man.
listen, you guys got to get to bed. I do too, because I'll be working out without either of you in the morning,
Ooh.
or
Yeah.
you, Coach Greg.
Oh,
Don't even go there. Don't
real
even go
quick,
there.
real quick. Miss Christie, if you don't know, this is by far the best TikToker in the family. So I'm gonna tell you two, you need to step your game up.
No, that's all.
Yeah, we can yeah, that's right.
You can have that one.
No, I think Brandon, you do TikToks with your mom, don't you?
Yeah, I've done a couple.
And the
Okay.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, listen,
Ooh.
how about this? Bryce and I, because I've spent more time with Brendan in the last couple of years,
The girlfriend,
I
she has a name.
she has a name. Listen, she can open doors for herself. um, Brendan has a tattoo on his leg that's a matching tattoo with your mom's. Brendan, would you
Mhm.
like to tell everybody what it says on your leg?
So my leg says "Love you to the," and then my mom has on her arm, to the moon and back, or moon and back.
Nice. Bryce,
Yeah.
do we have anything sentimental like that with mom or dad?
Yeah. We have this, so you can see
Nice.
it's
Go Bulls. Go
yeah.
Bulls.
Nas, I
No,
love you, bro.
yeah, this is
Go
this is I
Bulls.
I
love you
love you.
in
Okay.
this is I
So
love you in
You
sign
know,
language.
I do that
When I was
every I do that every day. My daughter leaves for school to her to the
Yeah.
car.
So like my mom taught me like sign language when I was a like baby. So that was like one of the things that like kind of stuck with me. So
Okay.
like when like you just said, like when she dropped me off at school and like at first time at college and driving away, like throwing this up and like especially like this past year, like it just like to me it means like happiness, and it's like a way for me and my mom to connect with it. So I got
Nice.
like that. And it's actually pretty cool because it's like her hands. So like we took a picture of her hand doing it, and the
Oh,
lady was
wow.
actually able to like draw that on there. So it was
Do,
it's really
does she
cool.
have a matching one then?
No, she has like
She has one of my favorite tattoos. The hearts.
it's yeah, it's I drew a heart, Brennan drew a heart, and my dad drew a heart, and then she drew like an infinity symbol around it.
And it's
Like
all
a
their handwritings.
yeah, it's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
Pretty cool.
cool. Listen,
yeah,
what an awesome family. Part of the definitely the Steinbrenner football family culture. I mean, without you guys, without your mom and your dad, we don't spend a lot of time talking about him, but he has spent years on the quarterback club and making sure the
yeah.
headsets are ready, making sure the field is lined and all that stuff. Like phenomenal folks, phenomenal parents. You guys are two phenomenal kids, man. We do appreciate you being on the show with us.
Thanks
We'll
for
try to
And
having me.
don't
bleep out
and
Today.
don't don't forget old man Raj. Old
oh
man
Oh
man,
yeah,
Raj.
Coach
yeah,
My
Raj.
man.
I love it. He still shows up every so often.
yeah.
Yes.
He's trying to get out there more. He said he was out there on Saturday. He wants to get out there a little more, but
Good.
he loves it too. He's been coaching forever.
Hey man,
Yeah.
we want to wish you the best of luck in your senior year. Go
Yep.
Thank you.
Carthage. Go beat those
Yeah.
big
Yep.
boys up a little bit. A couple of those top
Go. It's
ranked teams.
Firebirds. Go
Yeah.
Firebirds. They have a name. It's the Firebirds.
Oh, they can open their own door. Um,
Hey. All
and
right.
Brandon, we're excited to see your senior year, man. I'm very appreciative of all the work you've done with our young
Yep.
guys, my son included. He loves that he's on your leadership team and he's learning a lot from you. So looking forward to it.
Yep.
Yes, me
Listen,
too.
we are very proud of you boys. We wish you boys the best. We love you guys so much.
Thank you,
And
Coach. We love you
we
guys
we
too.
Yeah.
appreciate you. Hey, look,
Yeah.
see,
See
just
you
like
later.
my now tattoo mine on your face.
No,
Listen,
You
no,
can't do it though
hey,
because your thumb's weird.
hey,
no.
love you boys. On that,
Yeah,
we are
like
out.
Thanks.
this.
See you next time.